I am live, so I'm going to invite you. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. I
Hey,
think it's working.
no feedback.
Oh, I'm so happy. This is good. Okay, welcome, everyone. Some of you will start to hop in live gradually, and welcome to all of you who are watching the replay in IGTV. We are in motherfucking Ibiza right now. And I'm going to do a format that I never do, which is an interview with my dear friends, Lisa Morrison and Jim Morrison. And we're just going to pause with that one. You
Alive,
reflect
Jim
on
Morrison.
that. Yep, that's the real name. Sure is. Cool. So let's begin by just introducing ourselves a little bit. I would love to share the story of how I met you both, if you're okay with that.
Sure. Heck
Yeah,
yeah. Hell
cool.
yeah.
Hell yeah. So we all met at a poly meetup in Barcelona. And this was during a time when I was separating from my very long-term marriage, and we were doing something called nesting, which is where the family basically stays in one home, the children are in one home, they go to school from one place. We were living in Montpellier, France at the time. And I also had a freedom flat in Barcelona, and this is when I met these dear friends and some other folks who are with us here in Ibiza traveling. So this was a very exciting time for me, and we just hit it off straight away. We had the same dirty humor and very open-minded approach to life that I just love about you both. So I'd love to hear from you. Can you tell me a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah. So, Lisa, you want to go first?
Well, just to add on to that, I think one of the reasons we connected too is because we all had long-term marriages, have or had long-term marriages and children. And so we were exploring this consensual non-monogamous world. And maybe also we were a little older than the average demographic in a poly meetup. And so I think we really had a lot of things in common, including, these long-term marriages
Yeah,
that were conventional in many ways,
yeah.
and children. So anyhow, I'm Lisa Morrison, and I live in Spain and have lived in Spain with my dear partner and now husband for the past few years. I'm originally from the U.S. I'm a practicing psychiatric psychotherapist. I used to work in hospital settings. Now I have a little bit easier job, and I write.
Lovely.
Yeah. And I'd like to add to the Christine Why We Love Her story because, uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm a little afraid of what's going to come out now.
Yeah,
Don't worry, we won't tell any secrets.
it's only the truth. I mean, what's the truth, right? So we're pretty, progressive, open-minded, let's say new agey. And what we love about you is you are too, but man, you're not afraid to throw the F-bomb. And
That's
that's
fucking
what,
right.
yeah, that's fucking right. We fucking love that. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so apologies in advance for whoever's watching. Definitely the language and some of the content will not be appropriate for younger viewers.
None of it will be. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Since our little journey together to Ibiza, somehow in crossing the water, suddenly we're all from Brooklyn and we're fucking, everything's fucking everything here. So, yeah. So I'm Jim. I'm not from Brooklyn. I'm from the States, primarily Florida. And most of my life, I've been an entrepreneur, dad, um, creative kind of person, and of late, primarily a writer. And wrote a novel. And then once Lisa and I discovered this world, we decided to write a book together. So that's the short of it.
And this is why we're here. We are here to discuss your beautiful book called Let's Date Together, a companion for the adventurous couple. So for whoever is watching who is either solo and would like to be adventurous with couples, or who is a couple and would like to be more adventurous, or if you're already an adventurous couple, this book has basically everything for you. So let's chat a little bit about the book. So what was the inspiration for this book, and what was really why did you want to create this? Why did you want to bring this into the world?
Yeah.
Well, I'll speak for Jim.
Hallelujah to that.
When I met Jim, he was writing a second novel, and he brought it to an editor, and he had written in a scene of a swinger scene into it that I think took place in Las Vegas. And she said, get rid of all of the other stuff and write about this. And so she said to Jim, write about non-monogamy, consensual non-monogamy and swinging. And so as Jim was writing these stories, he was sending them to me to edit. I have a background. Actually, my first degree was in poetics and creative writing. And I was doing some editing and just was fascinated. And as we were making our adventures into the world, I was asking, like, why are people doing this? I'm doing it, but and I don't quite know why. And I want to read about why people are doing it. And so I started looking at the literature in the sociology and psychological fields. And back then, this was in 2013, very little had been written about it. At least in my fields, that had any kind of value, and very little data, large sat data had been drawn from people who were practicing a consensual non-monogamy. A lot had been written about non-consensual non-monogamies, cheating, right, in marriages, but very little. Lots more now. 2016 was like a breakout year. 2016, 17 were breakout years in the US for data collection. So,
amazing.
Yeah. And I'd add to that, the personal side of it is because we were both in long-term marriages before we met. When we met, we had a very open and honest discussion about how we were going to handle our new sexual lives, but as a couple, because right away we fell in love and we knew we wanted to be together, but we wanted to, be clear about how we were going to go forward. And we didn't know much about the non-monogamy world. Right. I mean, at that point it was called swinging. It had kind of a funky reputation. And our first couple of adventures, we not only met really interesting, cool couples and had great fun and sexy times, but we also discovered that they were happier and that this kind of defied all the stereotypes of what people think ethical non-monogamy is, which is, oh, you're all about to get divorced. And that's what really we said, wait a second, there's something else going on here.
Right. And I wanted to say, why? What is it really true? Is what we're experiencing true? Is this like a common experience? So
yes, you wanted to know why. I just wanted to write dirty stories.
And that's a beautiful combination. I think one of the things that I love so much about this book, it's like two books in one. I feel like you could really take just the fictional part, the stories, which are super exciting and super sexy, and then there's a psychology piece behind it, which explains the why and the what as two separate pieces. But by bringing them together, it really it's very satisfying. It like almost takes the shame around it away. It's just like, okay, I'm allowed to think this way. I'm allowed to be this way. And you'll give an explanation of why humans are like this, like why we do what we do. And I think it's really beautiful. So I have a little question for you. I know at the beginning of the book, you speak about how you came up with the title, Let's Date Together. Was this true? Is this how it actually happened?
Yes.
Yeah, that's a true part. A lot of it's fiction, but it's true. Yeah.
So can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, in this discussion that we had about how we were going to conduct our lives as a couple, I said to Lisa, I think it's important that we have our sexual freedom. And she said, well, what do you mean by that? And she said, you know, you were married for so long, you should really date other people. And I said, well, I don't want to date other people. I really like you, but we could date together.
Let's stay together.
Oh, I love it so much.
And yeah, and I was like, what?
What?
You know, I really had no idea and no experience. Although I did enjoy, after a long-term marriage, I really was enjoying dating. I didn't have any complaints, but you know, I was extroverted, and you know, I was like, this is fun.
Let's
So,
keep doing that, but
yeah,
together.
yeah.
I
Right.
love it. That's like
Yeah.
one of the most romantic things ever.
For some,
Yeah. And
maybe
it
not.
works.
It worked for
Yeah.
us. Yeah, it
Yeah.
doesn't work for everybody. It worked for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Um, so would you be open to sharing a little snippet of the book with us so that people get an idea of what this is about, what they can expect if they purchase this book from you and start to get into it? Because I loved it. It's well, I'm just going to let you give them
Sure,
a taste of that.
sure. There's how many short stories are there?
I think there's 24 short stories.
And how many essays?
I think 10.
10 essays. He writes
Okay.
more. So, but
Yeah.
I'll read one of the stories. It's called an excerpt, not the whole story. I'll just give you
Yeah.
a little taste of it. It's
Okay.
called My Little Secret. If I sound cold, my voice, it's because I am. We're sitting
Yeah.
outside. It's a
Me
beautiful
too.
view, but it's a little chilly.
Yeah.
You know, My Little Secret. Usually, when I go out to dinner with another couple, especially a couple I haven't met before, I dress conservatively. This time was no different. Even my panties were pretty tame, silk and lace trim, not some crotchless thong that I might wear back in the room with Jeff. And my bra was not traditionally sexy, but Jeff loved it. It was plain cotton, unstructured, bikini top that my kinky man called my training bra. But what I was really wearing under my Talbot skirt and over my panties was my secret, the harness for a strap-on, my little secret. I didn't want anyone, not even Jeff, to know, at least not yet, my secret. I could feel the straps as we walked through the lobby. When we politely hugged Brett and Stacy, the straps dug into me and flushed me with my secret. I wanted Stacy to know, to brush up against her so she could feel the outlines of my straps. I wanted her to feel what might come later. Stacy had a pretty young mom face, roundish with almond eyes and dark brown skin. I guess she was Thai or Filipino, but her accent was all Chicago. She was not too tall, about my height, and her short skirt showed slender, tapered legs. I had a bunkmate in summer camp who was Thai, who was my first girl crush, so Stacy triggered a fantasy gene deep inside me. Brett was cute, almost pretty. He had a kind, clean, proportional face with small features. He looked like a pediatrician who moms have a crush on. He wore a golf shirt tucked into slacks, and I would have written him off as too pretty to be sexy, but the tattoo under his forearm hinted at something more than vanilla. The conversation was the usual, polite and fun and a little awkward. We were talking about our lives, but we were also sizing each other up. Was there an attraction? Was everybody on board? Was everyone safe? Did we like each other? Did we want to go to the next step? We were sizing up the others as well as our own partner's willingness in a fun, mysterious dance. By the second round of cocktails, the lights in the Hyatt bar had dimmed and our conversation was getting more graphic as we recalled experiences and fantasies in the lifestyle. Almost absent-mindedly, I slid my hand under the table over Stacy's leg, looking for her hand. I had noticed her hands right away when we first met, elegant, sexy hands. I wanted to feel her soft thigh with her hand together with mine.
Okay. You guys got kicked off, so I'm going to try and call you back in. Okay, I re-invited. But it's okay. We got a good part of the story. It's really hot. Did you get the invitation?
No.
I hear you now.
Yeah, I hear you too, but you're frozen.
Okay.
I think I'm going to X out and see if you can re-invite me.
Okay. Technology. We have internet issues here in the mountains. So let's work with what we've got. All right, I sent the invite again.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Did you hear the story?
I did. We didn't get all the way to the end, but oh my gosh, it's so much hotter when you read it out loud. That was really lovely. Thank you so much for that.
It's fun.
Cool. So people will have to read the rest of that because it felt like a little ... that it cut out. To be continued. You have to go read the book to know the rest of it, which is perfect. Such a tease, Lisa. You're such a tease.
Yeah. Totally.
Most of it. Yeah, good, good, good. So, oh,
Yeah.
have you read the book before? Sorry, oh my gosh. Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about what would you like people to leave with after having read your book? Like what kind of
Mhm.
inspiration or message or what would you like people to feel after they've read this book?
Well, life is life, right? But there's always sexy stories to keep you company. So even if life is not sexy, you can always have a sexy story. And fantasies are wonderful. And we want people to leave entertained and a little hot and a little bothered on the one hand, but also to go away with a better understanding of what consensual non-monogamy is about for couples who are stable and happy, but they want to possibly add a little bit of fire to their life. And not only couples, but also single people who might become involved with couples. And I feel like the essays, and we have a question and answer in the back, kind of gives people provides some of the basic answers to the basic questions that people have when they're first opening up a relationship.
Yeah.
And so they can start a conversation with their partner, or they can start a conversation with other potential partners. That was kind of the purpose. And the essays really are about my personal perspective and part of my sexual development and evolution over the years, which was in some ways very conventional, very positive. I'm one of those lucky people to have a positive sexual history without, problems or trauma, even in, in all of the relationships I've had. But, sort of an average background. Because to me, it sounded like, oh, this non-monogamy stuff is so out there when I first heard about it. But when you encounter it, it's not so out there.
Yeah. Yeah, very true.
I would add to that, our external goal was to have fun with it, for people to read it and get turned on and get ideas and get feedback, give us feedback. But our kind of internal goal was to take the shame away from ethical non-monogamy, which is still there. People still are embarrassed and hide it. And we want to show that this is not only can be normative behavior, but it's actually can be really positive. That story is about two couples that are in love with each other, but they're flirting with other people. And even without the sex, how exciting to be in a loving, that's to us, a big part of it, even just that simple little act,
Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. I think what I got out of this book the most is that it raised the ceiling on what's possible. You know, like I found that each individual story gave me more inspiration and ideas outside of the hot and bothered piece, which is definitely what you get as you're reading the book, right? But it raised the ceiling on like, okay, I'm allowed to think this way. I can imagine these stories and I can actually live them out. They're not just they're all very possible, right? All the scenarios are not, you're not out
Oh
in
yeah.
outer space. Like they're very real scenarios that can take place, and it almost makes you feel comfortable in them to be like, oh yeah, I could do this, and this is exciting as hell. Who
Right.
wouldn't want to?
Yeah,
Amazing.
we still can't believe it ourselves.
Amazing. So where can people find your book? What are you up to now, and how can people follow you and see what you're up to?
Yeah. So our book is available, like all books, on Amazon. So it's Let's Date Together, a
Companion for the Sexually Adventurous Couple.
right, by Lisa and Jim Morrison. And we were lucky enough to get the attention of some Hollywood folks who have asked us to write a treatment based on the book. So right now it's being passed around, and we're having fun with the possibility of that and learning about a whole new world and on the other side of the planet.
Right.
Yeah.
And we have a website. It's called nonmonogamy.com. We haven't, because of the pandemic, had many events, but in Barcelona and in other parts of the world, we've held events and different talks and meetups. To really discuss kind of the basics of consensual non-monogamy and polyamory. So, but not too much happening in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
So, but there's some more information on the website that might be interesting, and a link to the book.
And you can reach us through nonmonogamy.com. You can just email us if you have any thoughts or questions or input or statements, whatever. We'd love to hear from people.
Yeah.
Perfect. Hey, thank you so much. I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader as you go.
You are already. Thank you. You're amazing.
Thank you so much. This was so lovely. And I love that you're sitting right over there when I'm having this talk.
I know. I think our sky is bluer than yours, though. I don't
Got
know.
a reflection back here. So, thanks for
All right.
having us.
I'll see you offline, yeah?
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.